And we don't realize until you do the history, women were not their safety. The war created the possibility for them to be in the medical field. There were basically 2 women doctors in the country at that point, and 1 surgeon. And Mary Walker, who volunteered because they wouldn't hire her to take care of the soldiers, and she is still the only woman to have ever received a medal. So it's remarkable. Clara Barton, of course, I love that history books. Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross. Oh, really? Was it hard? Did it even go before that? I mean, it's always like that. And then women got the right to vote. Nice. But she was just indomitable during the war. She was called the Angel of the Battlefield. She was on the battlefields doing the nursing and delivering supplies. But then after the war, she did go to Europe and discover the Red Cross, bring it back to America, but aligned with the International Red Cross, which allows neutral parties to go on to battlefields and nurse. And then she included what was called the American Amendment to extend it to disasters. That required the Congress the Senate to ratify the Geneva Conventions, the Geneva Treaty. And she lobbied for decades until that happened, finally in 1892. So there were lots of very interesting stories. But the women, of course, that I was most interested in were the women. And they were just fabulous. Jessie Benton Frémont, daughter of Thomas Hart Benton, of Senator from Missouri, and wife of, she eloped with us, needless to say, John C. Frémont, who was the swashbuckling explorer. But he explored as far as California and then summoned her to come out, and just even getting there was unbelievable. Going down the coast from New York, across, she was alone with a 6-year-old child, across the Isthmus of Panama, which was disease-ridden and terrifying, and even because she was a personage, she was treated well, but even so, she at one point was served a baked monkey and said it looked like nothing so much as a charred child, right? And then she had to wait a long time because gold had been discovered and nobody would come down from San Francisco to collect more passengers because all the crews jumped ship to go dig for gold. Finally, she gets to San Francisco. There are 4 or 5 solid houses in this whole city, 16 women total. But she establishes, herself, and then Frémont is one of the first senators from there, and they come back to Washington, where she's happy, and then he was the first Republican nominee for president in 1856. And she was absolutely front and center in that campaign. I mean, all of the posters were Frémont and our Jessie. Nobody has a clue who the vice president was. And she was quoted in all the newspapers, saying she can explain the platform better than anybody and all that. And one of the Democratic newspapers was so irritated with this that they printed a story saying that what Frémont should do is have posters that said, for president, John C. Frémont. And then it was husband of Jessie Benton. But then when the war happened and he was a general, she was running everything and called General Jessie. It was not run as a company. And then when he got in trouble with Lincoln, she went to Washington, went to lobby Lincoln. Lincoln didn't like her. But she is an example of these women all did this all the time. They would march into the White House and demand something of the president. And the president would just sort of take it. And whoever the president